Hello everyone. We should be able to finish lambdas and also primitives and reference types in Java in this one. Like what is boxing in Java, that stuff. Mm, mm, boxing, mm. All right, so in Java, as you know, a normal function looks like this. You can just do like a so for example, let's make a function that so it takes a number and it doubles it. So public integer, public integer double and it takes an integer, let's just call it x, and it will return x multiplied by 2. So we can run it by just, let's say we want to double 2. So, well, not 2, thing. Let's say 16. Now, the problem is you cannot call a non-static function from a static function. So we'll just make it static for now. But just remember, like, this is how a function is supposed to be, right? So if you run it, it should print 32. Yep, it does. So if you create a function like this, this is called the signature of a function. This function will have its own signature and it will take up space in the program. Yeah, the program, and you cannot create another function with the same signature. It's just a lot of overhead, and especially if you only use this function once, it doesn't make sense to dedicate all of these resources and respect to this function. So if you break down a function to its most basic parts, it takes something and it returns something. That's what a function is. So in Java, you can write a function anonymously in the form of a lambda, which means a function is treated just like a variable. It's just stored in a variable and you can use it just once. And then it's automatically garbage collected by Java since it's not used for more than, that few times. So how do you write a function in variable form? So if you remember, a function takes something and it returns something. So lambda, using a lambda, you can just write a function like that. So by the way, parentheses are also optional when writing a lambda. It's just recommended so you understand what you're doing. So first you write the lambda and then arrow, which is dash and the greater than sign, and then what you want to return. So if you want a function that takes x and returns like it doubles it, so you can do that right now. Mm, you can just take x and return what x multiplied by 2. So we could try it right now. So there's this function, right? And it prints 32. What if? So we want to run this function here. So here we just pass in double function and give it 16. So what if we want to, run this function? So this function takes x, and what will it return? It returns x multiplied by 2, the index, x multiplied by 2. So if we run this, I don't know if is this supposed to be how you can call a lambda. By the way, lambdas usually are not used like this. This is a very weird way. So we can write the lambda like this. By the way, it's probably not it's not relevant here, but this is how you write a lambda. This will be relevant when I start doing, I start doing streams. So then for each filter, stuff like that. So for now, just remember this is how we write a lambda. Another important thing in Java is what is a primitive and a reference type. So you already know that a primitive type, well, I don't know if you know, but there's like int, boolean, double, stuff like this. So in Java, a simple way to know if it's primitive is that the type starts with a lowercase letter, I, B, and D. And most primitive types in Java, I think all of them, they have a reference type as well. It's called a wrapper class. So int, for example, you already know generics, right? So let's say you want to make a list. You have to give the type of the list, right? So in Java, you cannot do this. So for generic parameters, you need to give a reference class. By the way, reference just means that these are not objects. These are just the raw values. These will be objects. So int has integer, boolean has boolean with a big B, double has it with a well, uppercase D. So these are reference classes. You cannot make this, but you can do this. Now, something interesting happens in Java where if you try to pass an array or a collection of primitives like this, let's say we have an integer array, right? And it's got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are integers. You can see here, these are int values, primitive int. But if you were to make an array list of type integer, integer, hmm, let me just look up the proper way to convert an array to a list. Okay, so that's all we have to do. Integer array dot as list, and we pass it the int array. It should work. Oh, sorry. So apparently you're supposed to still create. So we have the list here. This is why I hate Java. Required type list integer. Provided array list integer array. Then yeah, I mean I know stream is the proper way, but I didn't want to show it. Okay, you know what? I'll have to introduce streams anyway. So what I wanted to introduce was boxing. So you know these reference types. There's the list integer. This reference type will always work, right? So what is called boxing? Boxing is basically and a primitive type gets wrapped into a bigger type. So you will see it's used when using comparators. They usually box. They use this comparator method called dot box, not comparator, an intermediate method called boxed. So that's basically boxing. You box up a primitive into a reference type. So integer, if you box an integer, it becomes the bigger integer, box like that. So that's lambdas and boxing. And I think this is enough to start with streams already. Since you guys also pass HLPL2, you should already know this stuff. So I'll end this recording and I will start streams from the next one. That's where like the real stuff starts. So that's why I want to end it now so I can make it a separate video and streams will start from the next one. So see you guys in the next one.